Hey everybody, how's it going? Happy Sunday! Welcome to another episode of Addicted to Gear, number 94. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there. Hope everybody's doing well this weekend. Enjoying the time where we're getting close to Christmas, right? So it's getting there. I hope you guys are not in full blown Christmas panic mode. But I know it's coming, right? A couple of days from now. Look, we're already. What's the date today? We're the. What are we? We're the third. Nah, we're not the third. Hold on a second. I'm a little confused on the date. We're the fifth. We're the fifth. Yeah, a couple of days behind. So, 5th of December already. Crazy, crazy. Things are flying by. A really busy month for me. There's my wife's birthday coming up on the 10th, so I'm scrambling to think of ideas for her birthday gift. She has a couple of suggestions, but she keeps on changing her mind, so she keeps me on my toes with that. And then, of course, there's all the demands for the children's demands, right? I don't call them a wish list. I call them a list of demands because it feels like that more than anything. But yeah, so it's a crazy month for a lot of people. Plus, there's holidays and stuff thrown in there, family time. So I'm sure everybody's super busy with all of that. But it's great that you guys took the time out of your busy schedules to maybe grab a coffee, have some breakfast, and join Tony on Addicted to Gear. So today we're gonna hopefully have a good hour of gear chat, and we'll talk about a whole bunch of stuff. Definitely want to say welcome to all the newcomers. I think there may be a couple in the house already. If not, I know usually they trickle in a little bit later. People tend to roll out of bed a little bit later sometimes. But good morning to all the regulars that are here today. So Bob, good morning. Charles, good morning to you. Charles is doing some soldering while he's waiting for the show, he says. So that's a great way to get prepped for some gear chat. We'll talk about maybe we'll talk about some wiring issues later on. We'll see. Alan's here as well. Alan, I am keeping safe. Thank you, my friend. I hope you're doing the same. Wayne McConnell is here. Top of the morning to you all out there. Thank you, Wayne. Thank you. Hope you're doing well. Fat Philosopher. Fat Philosopher is evening time, right? Says no new gear except for strap locks. That's cool, man. I like being able to protect your investment with some cool strap locks. It's always a good thing to throw on your guitars. I'm cheap, so I use these guys for my strap locks. I use these little bottle cap seals. You just put them like this, and they work like a charm, and they're really cheap. That's as much as I want to spend on some strap locks. So, and they're universal. They work pretty well. Fat Philosopher is saying that he's got to play Silent Night on the bass this week. So, what do you have? A Christmas gig, Fat Philosopher? Is that it? It's cool to play bass once in a while. You change your perspective. It's a whole different, technique with the fingers. Unless you're using a pick, I'm not really sure. I like using my fingers when I play bass. It just gives that a deeper, nice sound, I find. Hey, Christian. Hello from Germany. This week I got a Carl Martin Plexi Drive in front of my Marshall SV20. It does an excellent job. I ordered a new guitar from Martin Horner, a guitar builder in my area. Wow, nice. So you got some nice gear there, Christian. So the SV20, Studio Vintage 20, that's the same as what I have. How do you like that amp? Have you played it live, Christian? Have you played it anywhere other than at home? And let me know your perspective on how it sounds when you're playing it at louder volumes, if you don't mind. The Carl Martin Plexi Drive, I've tried that in the past. It's an excellent overdrive pedal. It's a great match for the SV20 if you want to get into that overdriven territory without blowing out your eardrums. And the new guitar is on the way too, so you're going to have a really sweet Christmas, I think. That's awesome, dude. Hey, Landon, how are you doing, buddy? If anybody's interested in checking out Landon's channel, he's got a cool guitar review channel as well. He always has some great new gear. I think the last guitar you picked up was a Casino, if I'm not mistaken, semi-hollow body. So he's always got some good stuff, great humor. Check him out. The Nye, good morning. Alan, Fat Philosopher, you're playing Silent Night metal style or classical style? Are you gonna put your own spin on it, or what's going on? Hey Mike, how are you, buddy? Dan of New Jersey, good morning. Who else? Cushman, Alan. My good friend Jean-Pierre is here today, and he's celebrating a birthday, so everybody wish Jean-Pierre a happy birthday. We go way back, me and him. Another lover of music, so happy birthday, Jean-Pierre. Paul's here as well. Rico, good morning. So guys, throw into the chat any gear that you guys are looking at, anything that you've picked up recently. Let me know what's going on your side of things. And we'll start the conversation. Rico, I don't know when I'm coming to Arizona, man. I wish I could come today, to be honest with you. Rico's rubbing it in. He says it's going to be 25 Celsius, 77 Fahrenheit. Yeah. Rico, my shoulder and my knee is still sore from taking a spill recently. I cut my finger and all kinds of things. I mean, I don't know, man. I think I'm not tolerating winter in Canada anymore. I think I'm gonna have to move out of here soon. Jeff says those strap locks, if they're good enough for Brian May, yeah, a lot of people like those strap locks. They work. Fat Philosopher's using his fingers, no picks. Good choice. If you're playing metal, like, Silent Night in the metal style, then definitely the pick would be cool. Way down here, Just like, Nikki Sixx. Larry says that he bought a FNG Telecaster made in Japan. Neck is a humbucker. Bridge is a single. Haven't unboxed it yet. Been busy. Wow, man. Larry, you must be really busy. If I get a guitar in the mail, I unbox it right away. I can't keep it aside and wait. I'm too impatient for that kind of stuff. Let us know, though, how you like it. I'm really interested in those guitars as well, so let me know. Fat Philosopher says the bass is an 88 made in Japan jazz bass. Awesome. Everybody needs a bass, even if you're a guitarist. I think you still need a bass. It's always nice to fill out the spectrum, so to speak. Mike says, I emailed you about the LP special fretboard. Yeah, I remember, Mike. So Mike, I'll share with the rest of the guys in case they're interested as well. Mike picked up a guitar recently, a junior style guitar, and he was complaining that the fretboard felt rough and sticky. So he was wondering why that was. And I made a couple of suggestions that he could try. I mean, there's not a lot you can do when a fretboard or neck is sticky. What can you do? You can try to clean it with something that's going to basically give it a little bit of a lubrication. So I usually just use on my fretboards, if it's not a maple fretboard like this, I'll just use mineral oil just to hydrate the neck a little bit. But usually the fretboard is not the issue because your fingers really don't touch the fretboard much. They're usually just on the string. So if things are sticky in the front side, a lot of times it could just be, dirty strings or strings that are grimy. You can always change out the strings to make things a little bit more slick. If it happens to be the back of the neck, you can, if you have paint on the back of the neck, paint tends to stick, depending on what type of paint you have. So you can try to clean it off as best as you can. You can try a good quality polish. Other than that, you can sand it. You can sand it down lightly, but usually on painted necks, even if you sand it with over time, wear and tear is going to make it shiny again. So there's not a whole lot you can do, but generally I don't find that my necks like on my Les Pauls and stuff like that, are sticky. There was only one guitar I remember trying, which was a Black Beauty, an original Gibson Black Beauty a friend of mine had. And I think it was owned by a smoker previously. And that guitar definitely felt sticky in the back of the neck. I think just the, you know, the tar in the air made the back of the neck sticky for some reason. And even after polishing it, it was kind of hard to get off. So I don't know if you're a smoker, Mike, but that also might be part of the issue. Morning, Seth. Morning, Keith. All right. I'm just scrolling down, guys. Paul says I ordered a Lilt Gladiator 112 US dollar clone of the SRV. Cornerstone Glado. The Glado is a $400 US a pop. It has a long waiting list. So, Paul, how many pedals are you up to now? I think Paul adds at least another 10 per week. So I think now he's probably up to, what, 2,000 pedals, Paul? Anybody seen that Phil McKnight Keisel? No, I didn't see that one yet. I must have missed it. And Jeff says, compressors. I've been using my Dynacomp lately, always on style. I'm guessing for the exotic SP Peach, have it on sale at the moment, $99. Any experience out there with the SP? So Jeff, it's coincidence you're mentioning that, because I am also in the market for that same exotic compressor. Actually, I saw one used here locally over the last couple of days. I messaged the seller, but he already had some offers on the table, and he was waiting for them to either fall through or for the unit to be sold. He said he was gonna contact me if the unit was not gonna sell, and I would be next in line. But I think it ended up selling because it's no longer listed, which is unfortunate, because I think he was asking 120 bucks used for that pedal. They're a little expensive brand new, so I'm trying to find one used, but that's the one I'd like to get. If it's on sale at the moment for the 99 pounds, doesn't seem too bad. I wouldn't necessarily grab it for myself at that price, because probably the duties and the shipping would, not really give me much of a deal at that point. I would have to do the math on it. But I've tried it. It sounds really nice. For me, it was between the exotic and the Keeley compressor. I like the exotic because it has a smaller footprint. Plus, it has the switches on the inside that you can use to modify the sounds a little bit. I've had good experience with exotic pedals. My exotic EP booster's almost always on my board, and it's been on my board for the last, I don't know how many years. I just recently took it off because I was experimenting with some other pedals, and it's right here. But it's going to go back. I think today I'm going to be putting it back on, because I've been playing around with different pedal configurations the last little while, because I'm trying to get trying to nail down the sound live, because I will be we will be playing a Christmas party soon. So I wanted just to nail that down. I was trying out a couple of different pedals that I don't usually have on my board, specifically to kind of cascade the gains. So I took off some of the pedals that kind of were always on, and I'm experimenting now with a clone from 68 pedals, and there another 68 pedals clone of the King of Tone. So I have them sort of back to back. I ended up taking off the King of Tone, and I actually kept the clone on there right now. So right now I have the clone, and I'm going with another clone of a Tube Screamer right now. See if I could. The idea is I like to keep the definition of the amplifier as much as I can, but still get a little bit of a boost if I want during solos and whatnot, and just a little bit of drive to push the amplifier. And I'm still experimenting with that. So Christian says, I play the SV20, the Marshall Studio Vintage 20 at home. It took me some time to find the right cabinet. Now I play two two 4x12 Marshall boxes from the 80s. Live I play HX Stomp direct into the mixer. Yeah, you know, excuse me. I'm also flip-flopping. First of all, I've never tried the 10-inch, the 4x10s. So I'm wondering how that will sound. I don't have a 4x12 cabinet here, unfortunately. I usually play my SV20 through my Marshall with 412s. And it sounds great. Either that or I try and I play through my Voltage cabinet. It has two 12-inch speakers, and they're two different speakers. And that usually works pretty good too. The only thing I found recently is that when I take the head and go to the rehearsal studio, they have what are the cabinets that they have there? I keep forgetting. Anyways, they're pretty high quality cabinets, and they're good. They're good cabinets. But I find that when I bring the head over there and play through their heads, I lose a lot of the sound. Sounds a lot more scooped for some reason. I end up losing a lot of mids. There's a lot more bottom end in the sound, and I lose a lot of mids, I find. And I don't know if it's because of the cabinet itself. I mean, that's going to be obviously part of the problem, but I think the impedance might be something that I have to look at as well. I think those are 4 ohm cabinets, and usually I play 8 ohm here, and I'm not sure if I might have just left it on 8 ohms. So that might actually give me a little bit of a different tone, but I don't think it would affect it that much. The other thing, obviously, is the cables. When I play in the rehearsal studio, I usually go with longer cable runs because I need to have more space between the cabinet, myself, and the pedal board. So I usually run like pretty long cables, unfortunately. And when you run long cables, you tend to lose a lot of the high end. So I got to check that out and see if that makes a difference as well. But yeah, I've been playing around with the Stomp, the Ampero Stomp 2 as well. And for a time there, I thought I was just going to go with the Ampero Stomp, but I'm not as familiar with it yet. So I don't want to go into a live situation with the Stomp because you have to do some fancy footwork and be able to really set up your patches properly so that you're able to get all of the sounds that you need. You have to remember, you know, which pedal click would be the, you know, the delay to turn it on and off, or the boost and whatnot. So I didn't want to take a chance. When I'm playing in a live situation, I prefer just to go with my pedal board, keep it simple. Usually it's the best case scenario. Dry glide finger ease may help the stickiness. Yeah, that's true, Seth. Those products are pretty good for any like sticky type of fretboards as well. I find that if you're playing a lot and you have a lot of perspiration on your fingers, just get a cloth, just a regular cotton cloth, and wipe down your guitar after you're finished. And it keeps the strings from corroding as quickly. Keith says, did you see your friend John from Singapore? He did a demo on a Dirty Shirley pedal. I didn't catch that one, unfortunately. I didn't catch that one, but I will take a look. Yeah. I love the Dirty Shirley amp right there. I don't know how close the pedal sounds like the real thing, but if it does, that's a steal because the amplifier is pretty expensive. I have the, I don't have the Dirty Shirley, but I have the, where is it now? It's here somewhere. I have the Friedman overdrive pedal, the Brown Eye BE. I gotta say, I'm not a big fan. I don't know where I put it now. It's around here somewhere. I'm not a huge fan. I don't know. It seems a little bit hard to tweak. It's very sensitive. It sounds very modern, and maybe it's just because I'm not matching it with the right amp. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna give it a little bit longer just to see if I could figure it out and find the right place for it. But for right now, it's not necessarily one of my favorites. Charles says, wiring up a Telecaster project with Dylan Flat 6 pickups and a 4-way switch. Series in position 4. Neck arrives on Tuesday. Very excited. Isn't it great, Charles, to have projects to keep you busy, man? It's like therapy. It really is. When things get busy, man, it's like you gotta definitely keep the mind busy. I have a Strat build I'm working on, and to be honest, I put in the pickups, I put in the wiring harness that I got from Gun Street. I wanted to really finish that project. I had to paint the neck, and it was drying, and I kind of just left it there because I started my Frankenstrat build, and that kind of carried me away. So I was kind of focused on getting that one done. That one is pretty much done now. I think it's almost ready for a review. And after I put in the Pariah pickups in that guitar, Pasadena, sounds killer, man. I tried it live and it sounds great. It sounds great. I just might have to tweak the setting on the neck a little bit. I want to just lower the locking nut just a little bit, just to get the string action just a little bit lower. But of course, when you're doing that on a Floyd, you have to actually take some wood away, right? You gotta file down the wood, so it's a little bit more of a time-consuming process, and you gotta be super careful that you get everything spot on. Otherwise, you gotta shim it back up again. And I didn't want to rush it, so I didn't actually finish that 100%. But it's on my to-do list, so I think that build's gonna be really nice, Charles. Keep it up, man, and let us know how it turns out. Cheers, guys. I'm just gonna wet the whistle a little bit. One of the things also with Christmas coming along, I just wanted to mention. Did you guys hear the new song from Billy Gibbons? He came out with a Christmas song. I think it's called Jingle Bell Blues. I heard it yesterday. It's a little bit meh. I was expecting it to be a little heavier, you know. I was expecting in Billy Gibbons style, hear a little bit more pinch harmonics going on. It's basically a blues, you know, with a couple of licks thrown in. But I think he could have actually put a little bit more emotion behind the licks. But I figured Billy's not stupid, man. You know, when you come out with a Christmas song, you see a little bump in your bank account every Christmas. So it's a good way of giving it a boost without trying too hard. Every time I walk into stores, you know, and I'm hearing that song from Mariah Carey, All I Want for You is, what's it called? All I Want for Christmas is You. I'm thinking, every time I hear that song, I'm thinking, Mariah's just made another 2.5 million. Because apparently, statistically, every time Christmas comes around, that song makes about $2.5 million for her. And poor thing, she's only worth 520 million. So, you know, she needs the extra cash for some Christmas gifts and stuff like that, you know. I mean, poor Billy Gibbons, compared to her, he's like he's a miser almost. You know, he's a beggar. He's only worth 60 million, and he's been doing this since I was a kid. Here's Mariah, 520 million net worth. Something's wrong with the system. I don't know. But yeah, it kind of, I don't know, bothers me a little bit. Rico says that Tony, your Beatles documentary review was spot on. Great video. Thanks, buddy. Thanks. Yeah, you know, if you guys haven't checked it out, I released that yesterday. I just wanted to give sort of an impression video on the Beatles thing because I'm a huge Beatles fan. And I don't know, I know not everybody's a Beatles fan, but I find that the documentary for me, yes, 7+ hours is a long time to invest to watch documentary about the Beatles. But being a huge Beatles fan, for me, I just felt every second was like gold. You know, I like to see everything that went on, you know, and I love watching documentaries. Like if I have a choice between watching a movie and a documentary, I'll usually choose the documentary. I just find it more interesting to have like the details, the facts, and to get to know the topic a little bit better. Since I love the Beatles so much, I really loved it. And a lot of people might find it a little bit boring, you know, watching at the beginning, you know, they're fooling around and, you know, there's not much happening. It's more like chaotic. But as you get into it and you start seeing them develop the music, that really caught my attention. I love that. I just love to see the creative process, like how they developed some of the songs that I love so much. That was the stuff that just kept me stuck to the TV because, you're as a musician, you're listening to them noodle, and every once in a while you recognize a riff, couple of notes, a chord that that's part of Get Back, or that's part of Dig a Pony, or whatever the song may be. But it's cool how they kind of develop these ideas out of thin air. So I know it's not for everybody, but for me, I just loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And thinking back to how they created these songs on I think it was an 8-track, not even a 4-track. It was an 8-track recorder. It was huge. It looked like the size of a fridge. And this, oddly enough, was George's equipment. So he had to actually like donate his equipment for this project because the studio wasn't ready. So they had so many kind of challenges at that point that I'm surprised they even pulled it off. And it really is great. It really is great. Hey, Mark, how's it going, buddy? Yeah, I agree with Mark. Everybody should watch, especially if you're a big Beatles fan. It's a must. The thing that really that I thought was really cool is just the respect they had for one another while they were like, every time somebody mentions the breakup of the Beatles, I always imagine like fist fights and like nasty scenarios because you're used to hearing these things from other bands, right? Like, everybody knows like the Police, everybody kind of in the Police had issues and they would end up having fist fights, and a lot of bands had these situations. The Eagles, same thing, ended up fist fights, arguing on stage, all kinds of things. So I figured it would be almost the same kind of scenario for the Beatles, but it was not at all. I mean, it seemed very, very very docile in comparison. I almost missed it. I'm like, was that the argument right there? Because it didn't seem like an argument to me, at least. Anyways, there was no screaming, there was no crying, there was no fist fight, so might have been a little anticlimactic for some of you guys watching that. Yeah. Yeah, they still seemed very close. I think at the end of it, it was just a question of like, it was done because they musically, I think, had grown apart at that point. They were all doing their own thing, and I think they were all interested in doing their own thing more than the Beatles thing. So I think, although it's sad that it ended that way, it had a good run, and they should be happy with that. But if anybody doesn't like the Beatles, I mean, for me, I would say the best example of, what they were capable of for me, and I love this sort of, just listen to the medley between Long and Winding Road, Golden Slumbers, and Carry That Weight. That little medley there, in a nutshell, pretty much showcases everything that they were capable of. Beautiful melodies, beautiful piano playing, harmonies, aggressive guitar playing, the classical influences with violins and cellos and all the classical stuff that they would throw into their music, and great lyrics. Who can deny that they had great lyrics? I mean, that whole thing ends with the line, the love you take is equal to the love you make. And that's like pretty deep, man. And that's the Beatles. I don't think the Beatles they weren't like Led Zeppelin, like all the other bands, even though I love Led Zeppelin. It wasn't a question of attitude. It wasn't a question about, fancy guitar licks or, it was more a question of just building a song with great lyrics, great harmonies. And that's what I love about them. So, yeah, Landon, Abbey Road, man, it's crazy. That album is just nuts. It's like there's gold in those albums, I'm telling you. Lots of Fender gear in the movie. Yep, that's true. I think they were using Fender Twins. You got some good shots of Harrison's beautiful Telecaster. The Telecaster he was using was the Rosewood. Really nice looking Telecaster. Rickenbacker, of course. That was one of the basses that Paul was using, which he wasn't. I don't think he was that fond of, because you hear him saying that he couldn't really figure out what the knobs were doing on that one. I think he preferred the Hofner. He mentioned at one point the Hofner was better because it was lighter. And Paul, he stuck with his Epiphone, and sounded great to me. What's amazing also is the quality of the sound. Like some of the footage of the playing on the roof was actually what ended up on the album. And considering it was outside on the roof, it was pretty well recorded, I would say. You don't really have much of a difference between that and the other songs that were recorded in the studio. Yeah, George's Lucy Red Les Paul. Yeah, that was nice too. Was it a Fender care package, Landon? I'm not sure. I did see the huge Fender amps there that they were moving around. I think those were probably bass amps because they were so big. But it's funny because when they're talking in the studio at one point, you hear Paul saying, because they're thinking about doing the concert somewhere else where they would have to actually fly there and then get the audience, bring in the audience for the show, because the people where they were thinking about doing the show, they wouldn't understand the Beatles music, so they had to bring in like people from England, fly in some crowd, some of the crowd, and they were thinking about doing that by boat. And I think you hear Paul and John talking about that, and I think Paul saying like, don't worry, we'll be able to, get the boat for free because it's free advertising for them, And I think at that point it was George Harrison or something saying, they won't even give us a free amp or something like that. And I think he was referring to Fender. So I don't know if that was a gift or if it was something else. Maybe they just had to return it. I'm not sure. I know they were fond of stuff that was American. At the beginning, obviously, it was all the Vox stuff, but at the end of the day, I think they liked the American sound as well. Just one second. So I just wanted to send a quick message here. Keith says, while we lost John Lennon on December 8th, 1980, my friend called me, grabbed Beatles Complete, and went to Pound Out Side Space Museum in San Diego. Went through the book. My friend was great singing. It's true. I actually forgot the date. Thank you for reminding that. So it's actually a couple of days from now. Yeah, that was a sad day, man. I remember exactly where I was when I heard the news. Sad day. I about died when George's Gibson fell over. He hardly reacted. I mean, you're a Beatle. I'm sure that wasn't the only guitar he had. Oh yeah. Cool Tunes is here. Hi, Cool Tunes. Bruce says he saw the Beatles at Shea. My friend's father was an exec at Capitol Records. I sat in second row right behind home plate. Wow, man. Awesome memory. I of course I've never seen the Beatles because they had broken up long before I was old enough to go watch them. But I'm happy to say that I did actually check off one of the items on my bucket list. I saw Paul McCartney live when he came with his band that he's touring with, and I'm happy to say it was at the time where he can still sing. I think right now he's having trouble singing. It's not as easy for him. I see his voice is kind of more a little bit less powerful, and I think he's letting the rest of the members in the band do a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to singing the high parts. But when I saw him, it was great show. My wife jumped about 4 feet off the chair when at the end of Live and Let Die, when there's the fast part, na 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 No. They have all these fireworks. So, and it just like there's a whole bunch, there's a row of fireworks, and there's just tuck, 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 and they're like in sync with the drums, and you know it's really a great thing to see. And I felt the heat on my face when those fireworks were going off, and I expected it because I kind of knew what was coming. My wife didn't. She jumped honestly about 4 feet off the chair when that happened. It was hilarious. Great show. And at the end of the show, he took a lot of people from the audience and was really nice to be able to take pictures with them. People that had like hand-drawn images and stuff. He called them on stage, and he looked at that stuff with them, signed the stuff for them. Could you imagine? You know, some people had done drawings, and Paul McCartney signed it, and it was funny. You know, he said, "I don't want to see that on YouTube on eBay tomorrow." Could you imagine? You know, you get a hand-signed piece of art that you drew from Paul McCartney. He was signing people's arms and stuff, and some of the people were saying, you know, what are you gonna do? You're not gonna wash it off. And one of the girls was like, no, I'm gonna go straight to get this tattooed. So she was actually gonna get the signature, his autograph, tattooed on her arm, so she would have it forever. I thought that was a pretty cool idea. Anyways, yep, a part of history. Alan says, back in the 80s, Michael Jackson outbid Paul McCartney to buy the Beatles catalog. I know that story. Paul was livid. If you watch some of the interviews with Paul McCartney, he mentions that. Sometimes, even actually on Howard Stern, there's a really long interview on Howard Stern with Paul McCartney, and he doesn't mention Michael Jackson by name, but he tells the story, and you can tell how like upset he was when that happened. Could you imagine losing out the rights to your catalog to someone else? Pretty nuts, man. Jeff, in real time, just ordered the SP. Congratulations, Jeff. Awesome. I'm glad I could convince you. I don't know if I convinced you or if I was the deciding factor in that, but I'm glad you ordered it. I think you're going to love it. Let's talk about guitars a little bit. I'm holding my Telecaster. This is a road-worn Telecaster, Mexican-made one. I think I'm going to take this to the rehearsal tonight. I haven't played this one in a while. Sounds great to me. I love the neck on this thing. Let me see here. I don't know if I have any. Since we're talking Beatles. I like it. It sounds really good. I like the fact that it also has the 6 independent saddle adjustments. I like the classic style too, the 3 barrel style ones, but honestly the 6 just give it better intonation, and it's a lot more comfortable on the palm as well, not having the rest of the stuff in the way, you know. So I think it sounds good. It's got a little bit of wear on it. A lot of it is actually real, and some of it isn't. But it's a beautiful candy apple red. You can see there's a little bit of gold underneath. Actually, where it's worn out here, you can actually see the gold coming through. And the back of the neck is a little bit worn off as well. Some of that is real as well. But I got to change the string. So I think today, before I actually go, I'm going to do a quick string change, because the E string sounds a little bit rubber bandy on it. So I love Telecasters, Matt Landon. For me, Telecasters just do it for me. Although, you know, Les Pauls are great too. In terms of feel, in terms of comfort, in terms of just playability and what you can do with them, I find the Telecasters are more flexible. So undeniably, that influence, this lick, probably came from the Beatles. I think I'm almost sure it was influenced by the Beatles, because it's the same sort of style as what I played before. Um, but that just goes to show, like, I think the Guess Who had a lot of also influences from the Beatles as well. Talking about the Beatles. Gary says, hate to go, got a clean house. Everyone be safe. Hey, Gary, you got to do what you got to do, buddy. Yeah, man. So we got a new person here, Emma. Emma, nice welcome you. Welcome to you. I can't speak. Welcome you. Ivan wants to know, what is the most comfortable neck you've played? Easy peasy. It's going to be the PRS. My PRS is super comfortable. It's butter. It just feels so great. Anybody that wants a comfortable neck, just try a PRS. Landon says, I saw the Guess Who with Joe Cocker in 2000, original lineup in Ottawa. Awesome. Joe Cocker's awesome. I love the guy. Or I loved the guy. I never got to see the Guess Who, unfortunately, but there's a great documentary. If you like the Guess Who, Landon, watch it. It's you see Randy Bachman going through. It's just Randy and a couple of other musicians on stage, and he's just going through all of the songs, and he's telling the story behind how the song came about. I love stuff like that. I eat that stuff up. I mean, I could watch that stuff all day long, where you actually get the backstory of how they came out with these songs, and what the story is behind, like These Eyes, American Woman, Taking Care of Business, all these different songs that they came out with. They have so many great songs. You got to watch it. If you're a fan, watch that documentary. Yeah, that's it. Every song tells a story. Yeah, that's the one. I got to buy that one. At one point, I was buying a lot of DVDs. Now I don't buy them so much because you can basically stream everything. But I have a nice collection of DVDs, a lot of concert videos and stuff like that. The Police, Led Zeppelin, of course, the Beatles. What else do I have? Stevie Ray Vaughan. I have a bunch of his stuff as well. I don't remember who else, but I got a whole bunch of stuff. But that one would be nice to own, to have in my collection. Yeah, I've seen him talk about a bunch. Yeah, and he has a great. He's got a great story. You might be able to catch this on YouTube if you search it, guys. Randy Bachman's talking about that famous chord. Since we're talking about the Beatles, that famous chord that the Beatles have. Which one was it now? Is it the Hard Day's Night? No, it's not Hard Day's Night. Which one was it? Anyways, there's a famous chord. At the end there's like a shling, and it sounds like it's a very odd chord. And he breaks it down because he's been struggling with figuring out what this chord is, this magic chord, for years. And he actually breaks it down and explains how he figured out finally what that chord is. It's driving me crazy. I gotta find that reference. Hold on a second, guys. I gotta do this in a way where I'm not knocking things over. If anybody's quicker on the draw than I am, take a look and see if you can find it on YouTube. Just type Randy Bachman Beatles chord. It should pop up. And I love the guy. Actually, I was trying to learn the solo from Taking Care of Business, and it's so odd in terms of time, the way he plays the solos and stuff. It's very hard to learn because of that, because it's not like the timing is not really synced up properly. So you have to kind of almost feel it, not really go by the time, and it throws me it throws me off. So I'm gonna have to practice that one a little bit more. Mark says, seen BTO open for Van Halen in '86. Apparently there was a funny story about that, the drummer was sick or something like that, and the drummer that was actually filling in was not even a drummer. He was actually a guitarist, but he had played drums previously, so he actually filled in for them. So I don't know how great they were during that performance, but just a fun fact for you there. Bruce says he loves Telecasters the best when I'm playing one. I love Strats the best when I'm playing one. I love my 335 the best when I'm playing one, etc., etc. I don't know, just call me fickle. I'm the same, Bruce. I'm exactly the same. No worries, I totally understand. I mean, I do love Telecasters, but I love them. If I didn't love any of the other guitars, I wouldn't have all these monsters behind me, and a few more. But I just like having selection, But if I had to choose, if I had to take only one, I have a feeling it would probably end up being a Telecaster. It would be a tough decision to make because I love all of them for different reasons. But overall, I think the Telecaster would probably end up being my choice right now. Opening chord for Hard Day's Night. That's the one. And I don't know what it is exactly, but he explains it, that it's a combination of things. And it's not an easy chord to pull off. But I really loved his explanation of it. That's the one. Yeah. So check it out, guys. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's quite interesting. It's a lot of fun to hear this stuff. I love this kind of thing. I love the facts behind the songs and stuff like that. It just makes it cool. On my end, I haven't really purchased anything new. I came really close. I actually offered a guy. I made a bid on another Lone Star Classic. I almost repurchased the Lone Star Classic again. Somebody had one for sale. I kind of missed that amplifier, but at the last minute I thought about it and I said, no, I don't want to go down that road again. There's a reason why I sold it to begin with, and I said, I'm probably just going to end up chasing my tail on that one again. So I let it be. No pun intended. I just let it. I told the guy, sorry, I'm not interested. I could have gotten for a pretty good price actually, but I let it go. And also, I was looking at a really nice Princeton that popped up in my feed. Tweed covering, blackface tweed, Princeton. And that one I think had the Cannabis Rex speaker in it, which I don't know if I'm a big fan of the Cannabis Rex one. But that's what it had. I'm not worried about speakers because I can always take them out. But he was asking a little bit too much for it, just because it was the tweed version, which is nice. I like the tweed, but it's not very durable, I have to say. Tweed looks good if you're going to keep it in your house, but if you're going to take anything out of your house that has a tweed cover on it, it's going to get wrecked. And then there was another fellow who had another Princeton that was older, had the original Jensen speaker in it. And he was offering a really good price for it, but he said he already had offers on it. So I'm pretty sure that one was sold. If you can grab a Princeton these days for like around $1,000, it's usually a pretty good deal. I feel that a lot of them are selling for $1,200 or so, which is not a huge deal considering you could buy a brand new one for about $1,400. But when I see one that seems to be in the right price range, I try to grab it. I eventually would like to have one. But it's not like a super rush. For me, I got plenty of amps that will keep me happy for the time being. Bruce says if you could only have one guitar, it would probably be one of my old Telecasters, but it would break my heart to give up my 64 Strat. PRS a close second. Yeah, I know it's not easy, man. It isn't. It's not easy to make that decision. Decisions. Guys, by the way, I just wanted to mention, if you guys are interested in grabbing any swag and you want to support the channel, you can use discount code ATG for Addicted to Gear 94 for show 94. That'll give you a 15% discount on the merchandise if you want to grab a sweater or a sticker to put on your case or a cup, whatever you want to do. And that obviously goes to support the channel as well. So that's going to be valid for today, for most of today, I would say. So if you want to grab that, I'll leave that up there for any of you that's interested. Seth says, I plecked and set up a Les Paul SG for Drew Zing, Steely Dan, this week. That dude can play. Watching his hand on the fretboard totally reminds me of my dad's hands playing. Pop would be proud. Yeah, they have some amazing licks, man. Anybody that's tried to play any of those Steely Dan solos, they're not easy to play. And it's cool that he's playing an SG. I'm still, I never owned an SG. I've been kind of I'm not gonna say gassing, but I've been kind of intrigued about some of the SGs floating around on the used market. I don't know, maybe eventually I will have to pick one up just to give it a fair chance. I've only honestly played an SG very, very briefly, tried them in stores and stuff like that, but I haven't played them extensively. I wasn't drawn very much to SGs, but it took me a while to warm up to Telecaster, so you never know. You never know. We're at 51 minutes, guys. So if you guys have any questions that are directly related to gear and guitars and setup and whatever else you guys want to talk about, don't delay. Type them now, because we're gonna be, we're not gonna be going for 2 hours today. The funny thing was, when I was doing the rehearsal last time, I ended up bringing my Brunetti Pleximan, and the guys, I've brought in a lot of different amps. I brought in the Black Star. I've brought in the Marshall Studio Vintage. I've brought in. I even brought in the Friedman at one point, and when I brought in the Brunetti, I got the most compliments. It's a really, really flexible amplifier. It's amazing because you can get any kind of tone. And the funny thing is, like, I was playing 90% of the night, I was playing through the clean channel. I wasn't even touching all the other channels with the gain and the switching and the different options. Really flexible amplifier. I love it. And it's light, so I like bringing it with me because I don't have to carry anything too heavy. So I'll probably end up bringing that tonight to do again and see if I can get a little closer to the sounds that I need with the pedals on my board. So after this show, I'm going to be working on putting my pedals on the Acclam pedal board. If you guys haven't seen that review on the Acclam pedal board, check it out. It's really a great pedal board because you can actually put in the pedals without any Velcro. They have these clips that you can actually just screw in, and it holds the pedals really snugly. Great pedal board. I love it. So far, that's what I've been using, and highly recommend the pedal board. It's not cheap, but you can definitely get a lot of wear and tear out of it. It's well built. Let's see here. What am I missing here? A few more chats went by. Yeah, so Seth says it was a 71 thin neck signed by Les. Wow, a little nerve-wracking working on it. So Seth, do you take all the measurements and stuff and pictures of these famous guitars? You should, man. You should start a little book catalog or something and keep a little diary of all the famous guitars that you work on like that. Would be great to keep some statistics on them. Fat Philosopher wants to know what is your bass, Tony. I only have two. I have an Ibanez. No, sorry, it's not an Ibanez. It's a Yamaha. It's a Yamaha bass that I picked up a long time ago for like maybe $250. It's a nice sounding bass, well built. I've had it for years and years. I still have the original strings on them. I never actually changed the strings on the bass. Active pickups. Sounds fantastic. I love it. And you know what? I've actually never attempted to do a setup on a bass. I don't think I would know what the specs are. The how much space to leave under the strings and whatnot. Like a guitar, I know that stuff like the back of my hand because I've done it so many times. But on a bass, I don't really know. I haven't changed the strings on them because who breaks a, a bass string? Nobody, right? And I find the longer the strings stay on a bass, the more mellow they sound. So for me, it sounds really cool. And I also have a Donner bass that I got on a whim, which is sort of a copy of the Fender Precision bass. Works well, plays nice, sounds good. For me, that's really all I need. Like I said, I'm not a bass player. But it works in a pinch, you know, if you want to just lay down some bass tracks. Tony, how much time do you spend practicing daily, weekly? Not enough, Rico. That's the answer. Not enough. I should be practicing every single day, and I don't. At this point, with work, with all the stuff that I'm trying to do, including making videos and family life and everything, I'm lucky if I practice once or twice a week. I'll usually practice for quite a few hours. Like today, I'm going to be rehearsing this evening. The rehearsal is going to be 4 hours long. And I'm probably going to rehearse at home before the rehearsal for a good, I'm going to say 2-3 hours probably. So I kind of, because of my schedule, lump it all together. So you're looking at 3 hours here, another 4 hours there, 7 hours. Instead of, an hour every day, so to speak, I kind of just lump it all together. Not the best way of doing it, I gotta say, but that's what I can fit into my schedule. Any suggestions? Good small mini amp read it for my winter Florida home, battery operated, to use with my acoustic. Hold on, I gotta read this one again. Any suggestions? Good small mini amp, read it for my winter Florida home, battery operated, to use with my acoustic. Okay, I'm kind of understanding what you're asking. So you're looking for a good small amp needed for my winter Florida home, battery operated, to use with my acoustic. So you're looking for a battery. So why don't you go with the Yamaha stuff? The Yamaha, the lunchbox style metal units that they have. They're modeling. I think they have a version of those that has some simulations for acoustic on it too. And from what I understand, they sound pretty good. I think you can use those on a battery. If anybody has one, let us know. Give us more feedback on that. But that's what pops into my mind right away. I don't really know too much about acoustic amps. I don't really use acoustic amps all that much, but I would probably end up getting something like that with the flexibility of the acoustic side and the electric if you need it. Yeah, coffee table book, Seth, or even a website, man. People love that stuff. If you start a web page and you start listing out some of the cool information on these guitars that you're working on, I'm sure it would catch on. Would be cool. Good way to get more people to know about you guys. So Frank says, this ATG guy reminds me of me. Okay, Frank, maybe we're brothers from another mother. Who knows? Roland Cube is a good choice. True, Seth. I didn't think about that one. True. Almost forgot about that one. Don't forget, there's always the modeling side. If you're going to use something and you want to just use it to practice with headphones and you want something portable, get something like an Ampero or something like that. It's not, you can't put batteries in it, but I'm sure you could power it with some kind of a power block or something like that. And you have some great acoustic simulations in there as well. Probably less expensive. The TR5 stuff, the THR5 stuff that I mentioned earlier is good, but it's also expensive. And you only have a limited amount of sound. So maybe the best option for you would be a multi-effects unit. Steve wants to know if there's any advice on a 7-string. I'm not a big fan of 7-string guitars, but maybe some of you guys out here might know. I think Kiesel makes some good 7-string guitars. Ibanez too. Who else? 7-string. Let me think. I don't know. Kiesel comes to mind. Rico says that he has the THRX great bedroom amp, plus it has computer interface for recording. Yeah, that's what I like about it too. It does have the software, I think. It allows you to connect it to a computer and do other things with it as well. Yeah, the Spark too. A lot of people like the Spark. That's probably what it's designed for. I don't know how well it works as an acoustic amplifier, but yeah, the Spark is a good choice. Or get both. Yeah, exactly. Schecter. Yeah, Schecter. It's true. I didn't think of Schecter. That's another option. I think a lot of companies now make 7-string guitars, so I don't think there's lack of choice. As a matter of fact, probably even Harley Benton has some 7-string guitars on their website. You can take a look at those. They're probably not even that expensive. I only briefly tried the 7-string. I don't do too much of the drop D stuff, and I found it awkward because the neck was just too wide for me. And at a certain point, you almost feel like you're playing bass. But yeah, there's a lot of people that like the 7-string guitars. If you're playing that style of music, Music Man, those are not cheap. Those are not inexpensive. But yeah, Music Man makes good stuff as well. What else? What else, guys? Any other questions related to gear? You guys are slowing down. What's going on? You're not. I think this Christmas stuff has got you tired. I've been looking to see if there's any cool gear specials, discounts, promotions. Because, Christmas. Between Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and the whole Christmas thing, there's basically advertising for specials, for deals all month long, but nothing really substantial, I find. Considering all the prices have gone up recently, the deals don't seem very enticing. It seems like even with the deals, you're paying pretty much what you normally would pay. So I'm not really, there's nothing on the radar that I found yet. But if you guys find something cool, let me know. I'm more than happy to buy used gear. For me, used is perfect. And that's where you get the best deals. Let's face it, guys. Rico says the Spark has an acoustic setting. I plugged in my Alex Lifeson Epi last night. Piazzo pickup sounded great. So there you go. So Spark is a good choice. Steve says there's not, but was looking at the Jackson for $199. Those Jackson guitars are really a good modding platform, I find, for $199. Good deal. The Kramer Beretta specials are also good deals for, around $200. I know my local Long and McQuaid had a couple of deals on those guitars as well. Yeah, you can buy them, you can mod them, you can do some crazy stuff with them. I still have the salmon pink one that I want to put in. I still want to install the Vega trim on that one, but I want to swap the chrome one on the other guitar and put the black Vega trim onto the black Kramer Beretta, just so it'll be like a stealth thing because it's got a rosewood fretboard and everything. So that's on my to-do list. I haven't gotten around to do it yet, but I will. Frank says, I'm looking to swap out my PC board in my beloved first Gibson. I bought things like pick-up nickel covers and even thumb bleeders I wanted to mod or add to my axe and figured I'd do them at the same time. Yeah, the PC board swap is great. I would highly recommend that. I did that too. Nickel covers, highly recommend that. I love nickel covers if you can get the right sized ones so they fit the pickups properly. I think they age beautifully. And thumb bleeders. What's a thumb bleeder? Oh, I guess you're talking about the tuners, right? So Bruce really likes his Spark. Absolutely marvelous, but I realized that I had no use for it, so sold it 2 weeks later. It's a shame. You could have sold it here. A lot of people are looking for those Sparks. I don't see too many of them on the used market, at least not here. Frank says, I bought solder and a soldering pen, but I'm hesitant as I never did it before. Yeah, you know the cool thing? I mean, the thing you got to remember about soldering anything is you got to make sure you have the right temperature. A lot of people end up buying a soldering iron that is way too strong or not strong enough. If you buy the ones that are not strong enough, the inexpensive ones, you end up with cold solder joints. You can usually tell when the solder joints are cold because they're not shiny. They end up being dull. You want to avoid cold solder joints because they tend to break. And if you go with the ones that are a soldering iron that is too hot, you end up melting everything. A lot of times if you keep it on, you know, you're soldering a wire, if you keep it on there too long, the shielding on the wire starts to melt. If you keep it on the back of the pot too long, you end up damaging the pot and whatnot. So it's really, you got to do this really quick. And the other tip I can give you is always tin your wires. Make sure you have solder on both the wire and the surface that you're going to be soldering to. And if you do that, you can tack it in place very, very quickly, and it's gonna be fine. Just practice. I mean, practice makes perfect. Not everybody is great at soldering, and I've had episodes where I can do a really clean job, and then other times where for whatever reason it's a mess. You know, so just take your time and go slow, and it should be fine. Cool Tune says, Bruce, it's like when I got married, I realized no use for the wife, so I got rid of her. Oh, man. That's not nice. Come on. Bad karma there. Tony, any thoughts on a hot single-sized Telecaster bridge pickup to sound more like a humbucker? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. You can go with the Seymour Duncan stacked pickup, stacked single coils. The quarter pounders, they have the hot rails. A lot of pickup winders make those now, where they're basically blades instead of poles. There's a lot, man. I haven't put one on my Telecaster yet because I like the Telecaster sound. If I want a humbucker, I'll just slap a humbucker in there. But a lot of people like the Seymour Duncan stuff. They have the humbucker juniors there. You can get the Seymour Duncan stuff easily. They're available everywhere. Otherwise, go with the hot rails. I don't know if, for me, the stuff that I've heard on the hot rails stuff, I find are a little bit too hot. It depends on what you're trying to get in terms of like a humbucker sound, and just know that it doesn't ever really sound like a real humbucker. It sounds a little fatter, but it's not really like a humbucker. Thumb bleeders. So it's actually a thing, Frank. Thumb bleeders. I don't know what that is. I gotta look that up. Little spikes Gibson used to put on their volume and to... Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's what they're called. You're talking about the little indicators. I got it. Yeah, I have some of those. I get it. Yeah, thumb bleeders, because when you turn your knob, it cuts your thumb. I didn't realize that's what they were called. All right, cool. See, I learned something every Sunday. All good. So if you bought a 60-watt soldering iron, that's hot. That's on the upper side of the heat registry. Make sure you're not leaving it on there for too long, and keep the tip of your soldering iron clean, because it's gonna get dark, and because it's so hot, it's gonna get dark really fast. You need to get one of those almost like steel wool sponges, and make sure you clean it off every time before you actually solder anything. Yeah, the puppy's with us today. She's snoring in the background. You don't see her, but she's back here. She's always here. The sparks were on sale last week, direct from Positive Grid for $225, including a gig bag. Nice. Good tip. I don't know if they're still on sale, but if they are, you guys, whoever's interested, should grab one. Yep. The variable temperature soldering irons are the best if you can afford one. They're a little bit more expensive. There's a lot of stuff that comes from China that's not that great. You really have to pump it up almost completely to the max to get the right temperature. Those are the less expensive variable temperature ones that I found. But if you go for the good brands, they're usually very good because they don't overheat, because they just maintain a certain temperature, and those are the best. But start with the basic stuff, and then you could work your way up. Yeah, Jeff likes the quarter pounder. Got a really nice trainer amp for my wife. Best trade I ever made. Oh man, Vox, dude. Paul says the thing about 7 strings is you really need a bass player that goes 5 strings, or you start getting into each other's range and defeat the purpose of having a heavy sound and create sonic mush. That's true. That's true. Everybody should stay in their frequency ranges. Frank, thank you. It says Frank says this live chat advice is amazing. I'm a virgin at the live chat. No worries, Frank. Anytime we can help, it's all good. Seth is downsizing, thinking a Spark might be the call for a practice amp. All the other gear will be in the workshop. Spark is good if you're looking at playing something with headphones and something that you can bring around with you wherever. You can also just go Princeton, and get a nice small amplifier that's not too loud to play at home. Oh, thanks, Frank. Love you too, man. And you're close by too. Yeah, Brampton, Ontario. Nice to know. Bought a soldering iron from StuMac for about $800. StuMac is great because they have everything, but yeah, those prices are ridiculous. Yeah. Oh, you guys. Fat Philosopher says, wait, you mean I can trade my wife for gear here? Who wants a Japanese wife looking for an IQ Sonic in return? Dude, you better pray your wife doesn't watch this stuff, because if you do, man, you're gonna be living in a box under a bridge somewhere. You're gonna walk in one day, and your guitars are gonna be being used as kindling in the fireplace or something like that. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up. It's an hour and practically 15 minutes in. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in once again. I appreciate your attention and just being here on Sundays religiously. I think that's great. I always look forward to it. Please give the video a thumbs up, satisfy the YouTube gods, and get the video out there. Help get the video out there so it gets more exposure, and we end up having a few more people join in on Sundays, and the group grows a little bit more. I'm definitely going to be trying to get some guests on the show as well. If you guys do like this kind of gear talk and pickup talk and whatnot, I'm going to try and invite a few friends and hopefully spur some good conversation that ways. And of course, if you guys have questions, I always say don't be shy. Post when we're live, and if you miss the live event and you're watching this later on as we're streaming things, just post the questions in the chat section of the video, and I'll respond to it. Don't worry about that. And some of you guys can even just email me if you wish, and if you have any kind of personal questions that you want to ask about gear, don't be shy. That's it, guys. So please take care of yourselves and your families. Stay tuned because there's going to be more videos. And of course, please tune in next Sunday. We're going to have more gear chat. And we're getting closer to Christmas. So I'm probably going to be releasing this week a little list of Christmas goodies that I like. And maybe you want to tune in for that as well. All right, guys, so long. Have a great week. And thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you guys. Thumbs up to you. And we'll talk again real soon. Cheers.